What's up, everybody? My name is Amy, and this is the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast.
Get your wave and you're sitting on top of the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone is having a good week. I personally am tired of rain. I'm tired of cold. And it's just really kind of had me down and under the weather here lately. And I just haven't been feeling very well. A lot of things on my mind and whatnot. But that's nothing unusual. So, James and Jennifer Crumbley were back in court. And, some interesting things have come about. First of all, the judge appointed James and Jennifer each a new attorney. Their current attorneys are law partners, and the judge feels that to protect their rights, to protect actually grounds for an appeal later on, that they need separate attorneys, which they have separate attorneys. They just work in the same law firm. So the judge has appointed some new attorneys for each of the parents who are not law partners. And I can agree with this, and I'm going to tell you why. Several years ago, a woman that I knew very well, her name's Pat, known her ever since I was a little girl. She worked at the dairy bar, the local dairy bar in my hometown, and before I could even see up over the top of the counter, I would go, and my mom would let me go up to the counter and give me some change and buy my own ice cream cone, and I would literally have to reach up to put my change on the counter to get my ice cream cone. That's how long I've known this woman. Her daughter, who was actually pregnant at the time, was brutally murdered by her ex-boyfriend. her ex-boyfriend's brother was also her sister's boyfriend. They had children together, and everything. And so anyway, when the murder occurred, Daryl drug Robbie, his brother, out to the cemetery with him, where he took Lori and brutally murdered her and her unborn child. And when it went to trial, and I sat through this whole trial with Lori's mother, Pat, the woman I told you that had worked at the local dairy bar in my hometown. The defense attorney, John Wesley Hall, in the beginning represented both Daryl and Robbie, the brothers. But because Robbie didn't, participate in killing Lori Ann, he was given immunity and turned state's evidence against his brother, Daryl. And anyway, Daryl got the death penalty for killing Lori. And after all this happened, actually Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, approached Pat, and they wrote a new law that if you kill a woman who is pregnant, you can be charged with double homicide. And the day after Governor Huckabee signed it, guy murdered his pregnant girlfriend, and he got charged with double homicide. So that was the one good thing that came out of Lori's death. However, later on, Daryl filed an appeal, and he managed to get off of death row and get his sentence reduced to life without parole, because it was a conflict of interest that John Wesley Hall initially represented him and his brother both. And then when his brother was given immunity and turned state's evidence against him, it caused a conflict of interest. So he managed to get off death row like that. And, not that James and Jennifer Crumbley are looking at the death penalty or anything, but, they are looking at a prison sentence. And frankly, I feel that they are culpably negligent in all this. So they now have 2 new attorneys. Another thing that has happened is the prosecuting attorney filed a motion requesting that the name of their son, Ethan Crumbley, who is the accused Oxford High School shooter, not be named in their trial. This just blew my mind. Her reasoning for asking that Ethan's name not be mentioned in the trial of his parents is because he is seeking fame from his crime. There has been quite a bit of evidence that's come out that's going to be used in the trial against Ethan. That he wanted infamy from this. He wanted to be famous. When he got to jail, he asked them, so how am I supposed to get my fan mail or my hate mail? And he's apparently conversing with kids somehow on the internet. They're just allowing him to talk to anybody. And, he's got kids out there that think he's a cool dude and don't blame him for what he did and blah, blah, blah. But, this case with Jennifer and James Crumbley, this is uncharted territory. This is the first time that we are having parents of an accused school shooter being prosecuted in addition to their child. And we've never seen this before. We didn't see it with Columbine. We didn't see it with Westbrook, West Side Middle School here in Arkansas. We didn't see it. We've never seen this before. This is uncharted territory. And no, this is a problem. This is not the time to make a political statement in that you don't want to give this kid the fame that he's seeking, the infamy that he's seeking. You don't want to put his name out there to be remembered as a school shooter, like, Dylan Klebold, for instance, who was one of the Columbine shooters. This is a bad time to not want to participate in adding to this kid's infamy. First of all, I don't know there hasn't been any trial dates set, so I don't know which ones they plan to take to trial first. I would think that they would need to take Ethan to trial first before they take his parents to trial. And I'm going to share with you why I feel that way. I knew someone who was charged with accessory to rape. Okay. And this person was tried first before the actual rapist was tried. And the person was found guilty. And it was always baffling to me because how can you find someone guilty of accessory to rape before you've even proven that a rape occurred? because the actual rapist in this scenario had not been yet convicted. You see what I'm saying? So it always baffled me how they could find someone guilty on accessory to a rape before they even proved that a rape occurred. It's like putting the carriage before the horse. And so, in my opinion, I feel that they are definitely going to have to take Ethan to trial first before they take his parents to trial. Because in his parents' trial, the trial against James and Jennifer Crumbley, if they can't refer to Ethan by his name, what are they going to refer to him as? My son? Our son? My boy? That's about all they can. My child? My kid? That's about all they can refer to him as if they don't prosecute or find Ethan guilty before they take the parents to trial. It would be improper, in my opinion, to refer to Ethan as the shooter or the killer or the Oxford shooter or alleged shooter. They're not going to be able to refer to him in any type of negative manner, like calling him the shooter, the killer, the Oxford High School shooter, before they have convicted him and found him guilty of being a shooter and a killer. You see what I'm saying? So, it's just, I get the prosecuting attorney's point of what she's trying to do, but I don't think this is the time or the place to, kind of make some kind of political correctness statement, or, I don't know what you would even refer to it as, but this just ain't the time and place for it. Considering this is the first time that parents have ever been held liable for what their kid did. I just don't, I don't think it's a good idea. You're putting a disconnect between Ethan and his parents. You're putting a disconnect that already exists anyway, in my opinion. His parent from day one, his parents, they can say what they want to, but honey, they were trying to flee. They were trying to run. They were going to leave their son holding the bag to face this whole mess alone. And, this was part of Ethan's problem to begin with. His parents didn't pay no attention to him. And they were not just, they had their own lives going on and were having affairs and, taking care of horses and working, and, they just didn't was not involved in what was going on in their kid's life. And when he, did try to talk to them and tell them anything, they just ignored him. So the disconnect between parents and son is already there. And now you want to put even more of a disconnect into the situation. I mean, these jurors are I think this is going to kind of confuse the jury, because they don't want his name in any of the paperwork, court transcripts, nothing. He is not to be referred to by name. Well, what do y'all plan on referring to him as? The suspect? Because you're going to have to call him, the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorneys, they're going to have to refer to Ethan as the suspect until he is actually convicted of and found guilty of this crime. He can only be referred to as a suspect, alleged shooter, accused shooter. So that is why it's going to be very important, since she wants to do things this way, that they should definitely do Ethan's trial first. Because, if they did James and Jennifer's trial first, it would sort of be like the situation that I just explained, where you're accusing someone of being culpably negligent in 4 homicides before you've even proven that a homicide was committed. And then you're wanting to put the fact that this kid has a name and a face, and he is the son of these people on trial. You're wanting to put a disconnect into that too. So, it's almost like you're trying to give the defense to get them acquitted. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see when it all happens and when it all goes down and goes to trial, how they refer to him as, and whether or not they prosecute Ethan first before they prosecute the parents. It's up in the air. I do hope that it will all be over by the end of the year, though. I hate to see this drag on for a long period of time, because these families deserve, some justice and some closure, and so that they can begin to heal. What people don't understand is, you can't even begin to heal until you get some form of justice. And you've got so many people out here who have lost loved ones to murder or they were kidnapped or they're missing and they're never found. Killers are never brought to justice. And these poor families just live in limbo. And, the students of Oxford High School, they're going to be just like the Columbine kids. They're never going to forget this. They're going to have PTSD. They're going to be traumatized for years and years to come. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are like me, that the sound, of a gunshot triggers them. So, they're going to live with that PTSD for the rest of their lives. But yeah, I just thought that this is going to be interesting to see how they end up going about all of this. It's definitely going to be interesting. And, will we, for the first time in history, see the parents of a school shooter be held liable for what their kid did? They clearly knew. Maybe they didn't know to what extent or whatever, but I'm telling you that if I'd been called to the principal's office and they had shown me that one of my kids had drawn something like that, no way could I just say, well, I gotta go to work. Y'all do what you want to. I'm busy. No way could I have turned my back to something that horrifying to see and alarming to see. I remember when my youngest daughter was in elementary school. She was in third grade? I think, third grade. And the kids had drawn some pictures of, I don't even remember what the pictures were. But anyway, Miss Dawson had them out in the hallway outside of her classroom, all taped up on the wall. And I had to go in and talk to her about something one day, and I was looking at those pictures, and one caught my attention. And I said, Miss Dawson, this child is drawing gang activity. She's like, what? And I said, yeah. This is gang violence that this child is drawing, is depicting in this picture. Third grade, mind you. And when she looked at it and I pointed it out to her, she saw it. She realized it. And she said, oh my God. And she said, I will definitely be making an appointment with her parents. I do have some education in gang activity, gang depiction, and things like that, because back in the 90s, the club, a club that I worked at for a couple of years, we had to deal, with the height of the gang war and the height of, the gang activity of the 90s. If you lived through the 90s, you remember the gang activity was bad everywhere. But especially, in Little Rock, Arkansas, it was, hell, they did a documentary on it called Banging in Little Rock. So, I had some education in what to look for and how to spot things and whatnot. And yeah, Miss Dawson about lost her shit when I pointed at that little girl's picture and said she's drawing gang activity. She's depicting gang activity in this picture. So, yeah, there is absolutely no way that I could have walked out of the principal's office with my child having drawn something as horrifying as what Ethan had drawn on that paper. And it still baffles me that no one bothered to check his backpack. And what gives the guilt away is that the minute those parents heard that there was an active shooter at their son's school, they knew it was their own son. Daddy calls 911 and says, "I think my kid is your Oxford High School shooter." Mama texts her baby boy and says, "Ethan, don't do it." And you're going to stand there and try to convince me that they didn't know shit? No. It's just a very horrible situation. Very horrible situation. And, Ethan is being tried as an adult. And, they've already whined to try to get him put in this, little juvie home or whatever. Shit, no. This kid killed several people. And he's being charged as an adult. And if he is convicted, he will go to adult prison. So you might as well go on and get used to it. And they sure don't need him, at some juvie facility, inspiring anybody, these already, vulnerable kids. So I was really glad that they ruled for him to stay in the county jail. This kid knew exactly what he was doing. He planned it all, and he carried it out. So this, them filing this insanity defense, there is a far big difference in mental illness and insanity, okay? I mean, I suffer from mental illness. I'm sure a lot of you also suffer from some form of mental illness. From the shit that you've been through in your lives, like I have. But legally insane? No. I'm fully aware of what I do every single day. So, and I'm sure you all are too. And the minute I'm not, somebody needs to step in and do something about it. So, that's just the way I see it. Insanity and mental illness is just not the same thing. Oh. But anyway, that's really all I have to talk about. Did receive some news in the disappearance of Harmony Montgomery. The girlfriend that Harmony's dad had at the time he was arrested has died. She was found dead. We don't know yet how she died, but she was found dead. She was not charged in anything pertaining to the disappearance of Harmony Montgomery. In fact, Harmony, if the timeline is correct, Harmony was gone long before she ever even came into the picture. It was his wife, Kayla Montgomery, who was in the picture when Harmony went missing. It wasn't the girlfriend that they found him living in a car with. So if she did know anything about what might have happened to Harmony, we'll never know now. But I don't think she did. I think that if she had known, the police would have gotten it out of her long before, her tragic death. So, apparently, she didn't know anything of what happened to Harmony. So, I just wish they would find that little girl. Something. Every time I see that sweet little face of hers, I just think, you fucking monster, Adam. How could you do this? What did you do with her? But he's keeping his mouth shut, and so is Kayla. So, talk about some soulless sons of bitches. I don't get it. Anyway, everyone have a wonderful night. And please, please remember, be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Good night, everyone. Peace out.
Hey y'all, this is Ella May, reminding you to please go over on Spotify and Anchor and follow my Mimi's weekly podcast. Just search the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. Mimi follows a lot of trials in the news over there, So please follow us on Spotify and Anchor. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just search The Ruby Pearl Glamper. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below here on our YouTube channel, because you're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. True crime, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. You hear?